David Howler, the son of Charles Xavier and Gabriel Howler, rises as the Omega-level mutant known as Legion, drawing on his father's legacy as a formidable telepath, even eclipsing Xavier in power. David's abilities extend far beyond telepathy. He possesses the capability to generate or manifest new powers, essentially allowing him to create or acquire new abilities with each alternate personality he assumes. This is particularly perilous given his multiple personalities or psi-selves, including Jack Wayne, Cindy, and Jamail Karami. His comic history is replete with demonstrations of these formidable abilities. In this video, we'll revisit his numerous confrontations and achievements. In issue 26 of the New Mutants, David unleashes a psychic flame against his mother, Gabrielle Howler, Xavier, Cypher, and Moonstar, potent enough to incapacitate them. The flame seemed so authentic that Moonstar feared she was about to perish in flames. During his youth, David's godfather, Daniel Shamron, fell victim to an assassin team targeting his family and more. In an instantaneous reaction, he vaporized the assassin's brains and simultaneously absorbed the consciousness of each victim. In issue 254 of Uncanny X-Men, we observe him employing his pyrotic abilities once more when Donald Pierce and his Reavers launched an assault against Wolverine and his ally. Regrettably, one of his malevolent personas, Jack Wayne, emerged, resulting in Sunder's death due to Wayne's manipulative use of Legion's telekinetic powers. In issue 3 of New Mutants Volume 3, the various personas within his psyche manifest their powers during a confrontation with Sunspot, and then again during his attack on Moonstar. In issue 2 of X-Men Forever, we witness an encounter between Legion and Mystique, where he begs her to end his life. Mystique, puzzled by his request, finds herself pulled into Legion's psyche, where he discloses the sequence of events that precipitated the infamous Age of Apocalypse. In issue 278 of Uncanny X-Men, while Forge and Storm are scouting Muir Island aboard the X-Men's Blackbird, Forge's instruments detect an extraordinary surge of power emanating from a containment area on the island. He remarks that the individual confined there must be extremely powerful. Suddenly, Legion materializes before Storm and engages her. Under the influence of the Shadow King, Legion's Jack Wayne persona attacks Storm with a blend of telepathic, telekinetic, and pyrokinetic energies. Further into the same issue, now fully dominated by the Shadow King, Legion confronts the X-Men, proclaiming that they are out of time, out of luck, and out of hope. He then employs his vast abilities to release a catastrophic energy wave, annihilating over 2/3 of Muir Island. In Uncanny X-Men issue 319, it's revealed that Legion's telepathic prowess allows him to infiltrate Professor Charles Xavier's mind, convincingly impersonating Magneto. He achieves this while feigning a comatose state. In issue 108 of X-Factor, Mystique arrives with the intent to execute David in retaliation for Destiny's death. Unbeknownst to her, David was simulating a coma. He then used his telekinetic powers to forcefully repel her while declaring he had anticipated her arrival. In a later issue, upon discovering Mystique clashing with Forge and Wolfsbane, David intervened by striking Forge with a Psyblast and telekinetically maneuvering Mystique to meet him mid-air. He stopped the fight to convey Destiny's message to Mystique. To ensure the message was conveyed effectively, David suggested to Mystique that they needed a secluded area, which he determined would be inside his mind, so he telepathically transported her into his psyche. After completing their exchange, he returned her to the physical world. When the X-Factor team launched an attack on him for his actions, he instantly teleported them to a different location. In issue 41 of X-Men Volume 2, the Age of Apocalypse, an alternate reality, comes into existence when Legion travels back in time with the intention of killing Magneto, then known as Magnus. The X-Men attempt to thwart him by having Iceman freeze every molecule of water within Legion's body. However, Legion breaks free and retaliates with a massive psionic blast that devastates the X-Men, leaving him the last one standing. What follows is well known. As he gears up to obliterate Magnus, Charles Xavier intervenes, sacrificing himself by absorbing the full impact of Legion's attack. With Charles Xavier's death, in that particular timeline, David Haller ceases to exist, effectively restoring the original timeline. Next, we turn to Uncanny X-Men issue 320, which features an impressive cover depicting a standoff between Legion and Storm. The issue begins with a scene showing Storm invoking her powers, praying they are sufficient to overcome Legion. The narrative clearly states that Storm's prayers were futile. Even Storm herself acknowledges that their odds of defeating him were almost non-existent. During their confrontation, Legion binds Storm using his telekinetic abilities. He then transports her back in time to her childhood days in Cairo, allowing her a chance to prevent a plane crash that claimed her mother's life. Just as she is about to reach her mother, Legion cruelly pulls her back to the present. While Storm argues that it was merely an illusion, David maintains that it was genuine time travel, marking his first demonstration of this ability. Subsequently, Legion pulls Storm, Bishop, Psylocke, and Iceman back through time via a portal. In Volume 3 of New Mutants, the world witnesses the devastation wrought by the rampaging, extremely powerful Elder Gods. It seems they are unstoppable until Legion arrives at full power. Within his personality matrix, all the personalities scatter except for David and Marcy, thereby showing that David is in full control of his personas and is able to be fully focused on what is to come. The battle ceases. The X-Men watch in astonishment as Legion begins to illuminate. They recognize that the last time he flared up like this, he obliterated their reality. Following Illyana's declaration to the Elder Gods, "Today you cease to be," Legion converts into pure white energy, and, amidst the blinding light, the Elder Gods are annihilated. In issue 14 of the same New Mutants volume, Charles Xavier, urgently needing Legion's aid, journeys into his son's mindscape. There, they venture into the Persona Brig, a sector in David's mind where thousands of his alternate personas are securely stored and organized within individual psychic compartments. The reason for Charles's outreach to David becomes evident as the New Mutants and X-Men face off against the Nimrods. Suddenly, during the X-Men's battle with the Nimrod Sentinels, a helicopter lands carrying Xavier and David. The Nimrods detect the presence of an Omega-level mutant upon their arrival. David sports a helmet designed to navigate through his personalities, allowing him to choose the most apt one for the current predicament and harness their abilities. His initial choice enables Legion to annihilate a Nimrod with a sonic beam. Subsequently, another personality enables him to dissolve 2 additional Nimrods with an acidic vomit. In X-Men Legacy issue 249, Legion taps into a persona called Delphic. This activation causes his appearance to shift to a blue and white aura. With Delphic's ability, Legion unveils 6 visual representations of the personas involved: Endgame, Susan and Sunshine, Timesync, Chain, Styx, and the Bleeding Image. In the first issue of X-Men Legacy Volume 2, while residing in the Himalayas and studying under the Guru, Mirza the Mystic, David achieves a superior command over his powers and personalities. During this period, David senses his father's death. The psychic reverberations from his father's passing dismantle the intricate control system David had constructed within his mind, leading to an eruption of his powers that completely devastates the area. In a later issue, a less potent Legion confronts the X-Men. He begins the skirmish by snapping his fingers, propelling Wolverine through the air with a psionic wave that knocks out Logan. Then, Storm dramatically enters to confront Legion. He deflects her lightning strikes and counters with an energy blast that sends Storm plummeting to the ground. Frenzy joins the battle, vowing to pummel Legion. However, Legion employs his non-Newtonian persona, which defies the laws of conservation of energy. Consequently, when Frenzy strikes him, she is the one sent reeling back by the recoil of her own attack. Following this, Chamber assaults David with a surge of psionic energy. David counters by activating a different persona to seal Chamber's mouth. Tragically for Chamber, this blockage causes intense pressure to build within his head, leading to an unfortunate but hilarious outcome. After recovering, Chamber stubbornly decides to confront David once more, to the dismay of the other X-Men. David then utilizes his origamous persona, granting him the ability to manipulate reality and fold space and time, making the explosion caused by Legion vanish. In issue 5, David employs the abilities of his personas, Findle the Finder and Wormhole Wodo. With these abilities, he locates and teleports monsters from thousands of light years away, noting that such a feat would be unachievable without the 200 Omega-level personalities in his mind. In issue 15, we see David spending time with his mother, Gabrielle Haller, on Muir Island. Just as they are about to hug again, a stray bullet narrowly misses David and strikes his mother. David retaliates using his powers to eliminate the assailants, Black Gold and President Abdi. He then transports himself to the Jean Grey School, where Wolverine, Storm, Beast, Blindfold, Pixie, Frenzy, and others rush out to face him. He manipulates their perceptions so they believe he has vanished, except for his girlfriend Ruth. In issue 18, it is revealed that David used his Delusionot persona to conjure an illusion so convincing that even seasoned telepaths like Emma Frost and the Stepford Cuckoos were fooled. Why does Luca, one of David's enemies, remind me of the animated character Megamind? Recall the confrontation between Legion and Fiend at the Washington Navy Yard in DC during issue 22? During the conflict, he summoned the X-Men and others for assistance. A notable moment occurred during the battle when he snapped his fingers and uttered, "To me, my X-Men." Together, they engaged in combat to defeat the Fiend. one of Legion's powerful personas that took over after Charles Xavier's death. In issue 24, overwhelmed by the despair over his deceased father's disappointment, Legion's immense powers become erratic, placing mutant kind's future at risk. To protect the world from himself, he erases his existence from reality, leaving Ruth as the sole person who remembers him. In issue 8 of Uncanny X-Men Volume 5, we find that Legion has pulled the formidable psychic entity, Nate Gray, also known as X-Man, into his subconscious. While there, he informs Nate that those he has drawn into his subconscious, including the X-Men, the Sentry, She-Hulk, and even a Sentinel, are all equipped to handle Nate, and he declares them all to be part of Legion. Regrettably for Legion, Nate proves to be immensely powerful and assumes control of his mind. In the first issue of X-Men, The Onslaught Revelation, Legion establishes a unique pocket dimension within his mind called the Altar, located at the edge of the astral plane and accessed via a Krakoan gate on Arakko. This altar, a non-Euclidean psychic environment, serves as a meeting place for Legion and Nightcrawler to devise their strategy to defeat Onslaught, which they ultimately achieve with assistance from others. Those were just a few instances of Legion's vast powers and capabilities in action. I might have overlooked some, but I hope you found this video enjoyable. Please leave a comment below sharing some of your favorite moments of Legion.